Tonight we're going to talk about the Christmas truce. What the hell is the Christmas truce, Darryl Cooper?
Well, the Christmas truce, or the Christmas peace, as it's sometimes known, refers to an event that took place on the Western Front of World War I, about 5 months into the First World War, on Christmas. You know, the war started in early August. By the time you get to Christmas, which is the time that those men, no matter which country they were fighting for, they'd been told that they'd be home by Christmas, that the war would be wrapped up one way or another by then. And by the time Christmas came, again, you're 5 months into a war that had killed and wounded about 1 million people already. If you go back to, let's say, May of 1914, people are just living in peace in Europe. And there had been no major war on the scale that, you know, we've come to think of as major in 100 years. The biggest, longest, bloodiest war anybody knew of in the last 100 years was the American Civil War, which killed maybe 650, 700,000 people in 4 years. And so now we're in World War I. You know, this wasn't even like Vietnam, where you might get drafted. If you're a working class guy, like, you got a good chance of getting drafted. It's nothing like that. It was like, if you can walk and you don't have some blindness or hearing problem or heart problem that precludes you, you're going to war, period. And so you went from an entire continent at peace to an entire generation of men across the continent being thrown into this meat grinder that is just chewing them up at a rate that nobody had really ever even conceived of as something that was possible before. Basically, what happened was, up and down the lines on the Western Front, from northern Switzerland to the English Channel, at different places, and in some places for long, long stretches of the line, you had people on the German side, soldiers on the German side, and soldiers on the British and French side coming up out of their trenches and celebrating Christmas together. And this was not something that the rulers kind of came together and said, hey, wouldn't it be nice, you know, for our guys if we just took the day off? The officers and the NCOs of the various armies were threatening to shoot people for. And these guys still came up out of their trenches. There are certain stories of how the British would be over on the other side. The kings of all the major countries, they sent their troops care packages. And so they have extra cigarettes and wine and things like that. And they're kind of having a day. And they hear, over on the other side, they start hearing a song that they all know, but it's being sung in a different language, Silent Night. And now all of a sudden, those same people, they start to see on the German side, they start to put up little makeshift Christmas trees, or some of them are even putting their rifles and sticking their bayonets and putting some candles on them and things like that. And there's this really touching story, again, maybe apocryphal. The Germans were singing Silent Night, and they were across no man's land from a group of Scottish soldiers in the British Army who started playing their bagpipes to accompany them. And that was sort of the trigger that sort of got these guys to, poke their head up above the trench, which was a death sentence for the last several months. But then it started spreading, up and down the line. You've got all these stories of them meeting in no man's land, exchanging gifts, playing soccer with each other, singing with each other. The whole time, the officers and the NCOs are going insane, say it's like that we got to figure out some way to stop this unbelievably beautiful act of humanity that's taking place.